Hello my dears and welcome to your weekly reading. My name is Alexa. Today I'm going to be doing a reading for the week of December 10th through December 16th of 2023. And this specific reading is channeled for all of my Capricorn, so especially if you are a Capricorn sun, moon, rising, and or north node, this one is for you. Before I get into my reading today, I do want to apologize. I am coming off the flu, so I'm a little bit nasally right now. Sorry if my voice is super annoying to listen to. And B, just give you guys kind of like a heads up, sort of a thing to think about when you are listening to the readings. Normally, I like to start out with, I used to start out with Oracle, but I switched. Now I like to start out with Tarot by asking what kinds of themes might we be looking at. And then I move into Oracle to decipher how we might want to deal with those energies, what kinds of things we might need in working through those particular challenges or joys or whatever is coming up. So for this week, just to give you guys a heads up, there might be some challenges that you guys are going to be facing. I don't necessarily view that as a bad thing. I think a lot of us can look at some of the cards that came up and say like, oh, these are bad cards. But I actually don't really see it that way. I think a lot of what we're being presented with in this upcoming week are some opportunities to grow. And these may come in the way of a lot of changes. I did pull the Tower card for you guys, so this card can imply some level of upheaval, drastic changes. If you look at the card, you're going to see pretty quickly it's a very chaotic card. So just something to understand about this upcoming week. There might be a lot going on, a lot of shifts either in your personal life, your work life, maybe some sudden unexpected things, which a lot of people, to a degree, most people we are excited about change and we also fear change. It's this interesting duality, I guess, and so that is something to keep in mind moving into this week. Is there are going to be Page of Wands in reverse. There are going to be opportunities for new paths. There are going to be some new ideas formulating. Any page cards is kind of like not quite an Aries energy, but there is this like level of newness and excitement, especially when it comes to like new ventures and branching out and exploring out. Getting Sagittarius energy for some of you. So there are going to be some new opportunities. However, in reverse, we might find that these are going to feel potentially a little bit jumbled. There might be a little bit going on in terms of like feeling, I don't want to say overwhelmed, but like you might have so many options and opportunities ahead of you as a result of some of these changes that you're going to feel a little bit like, what the fuck do I do with all of this? And if that's the case, that's not a bad thing. That's why I want to pull from the Oracle deck to give a little bit of guidance as to how you might want to work through or work with that. Something else to consider, I did pull the World in reverse as well. So this card can imply some level of like, so the World card in general is like a completion or an integration card. In reverse, however, it can imply trying to maybe short circuit that process. Maybe there have been some delays, so you're trying to take some shortcuts to make things happen faster, or some level of like seeking closure. For some of you, I feel like maybe some of these changes are going to feel like if these are really big life changes that are really, really challenging, you may want to find closure on those as quickly as possible. You may think like, oh, well, if I just go to work and I work harder, or if I just do XYZ, or if I drink more, or if I whatever, insert negative coping mechanism here. Even if it's not like an inherently negative thing, too much of anything isn't really a good thing. So there is something to consider there with understanding whatever challenges come up, whatever changes arise, are you dealing with those in a healthy way, or are you trying to short circuit healing? Are you trying to move through those emotions, blast them as quickly as possible? Something to keep in mind is that any emotions that come up, whether or not they feel challenging, good, hard, easy, whatever, like any of those emotions that arise for you are not, like no emotion is inherently bad. Some are more challenging, some are more uncomfortable, but if you're trying to like bullet through them or to avoid them or suppress them or push them down, you're not doing yourself really any favors because you are depriving yourself the opportunity to learn from that emotion or from that experience. So just, again, something to keep in mind. Any changes or challenges that are happening this week, be willing to sit with them, sit with the emotions, sit with the things that are going on. You absolutely have power over how long you want to sit in something. I think sometimes we are afraid to feel emotions because if they feel overwhelming, if it feels, or like if we have a lot of emotions, maybe there's like a ton of emotional energy coming up. If there's a lot of that going on, we feel like we're going to get lost in the sauce. We don't really know how to deal with it. So it's easier to just like push it down and move away. And your challenge for this week, my dear, I'm getting pretty strongly, is to not do that and to allow yourself to feel the depth of whatever's coming up. One piece of advice or one practice that I've found really helpful is to set like parameters around it. So if you say like, I'm going to let this feeling overcome me for the next 5 minutes, 10 minutes, hour, whatever, create a certain amount of time so that you can really go into that emotion and feel it and let it happen. Like if you're experiencing grief or sadness and you're like, oh, I gotta push this down and go and move on and do something else. Your challenge this week is to allow that feeling to fully come up, to fully express it, cry, scream, whatever you need to do so that it can come out and be released from you. And that way you can move forward. Because if not, you are short-circuiting your healing process, and eventually those unresolved things are going to potentially come up and cause further issues. So just something to keep in mind. Another thing to consider with this week, some of those challenges and changes that might be coming up, you might be feeling, again, with the overwhelm of options. I pulled the Two of Swords. You might be feeling a little bit of like difficulty with making decisions, feeling like you're at an impasse, if you will. You're trying to weigh your options. You're maybe avoiding making decisions because you don't know which way to go. You don't know if left or right is safest or best for you. This card, I mean, if you just look at what she's experiencing, there's a lot of water in the background to imply there is some emotional components. It looks like she's blindfolded, so there's this lack of understanding of like, which way will this path lead versus this path, and I don't know what to do, so I'm just gonna sit here and like let whatever happen. Again, not necessarily a bad thing, but if you are staying stuck in this emotion, which again, these feelings that I just mentioned, that like allowing yourself to feel those emotions, you also don't want to get stuck in them. So we're really looking for that balance of moving through emotions and working through them and working with them and not getting stuck in them without completely avoiding them. So for some of you, you may find that your challenge may come in the way of like not really knowing which way you want to move. Why is it not focusing? There we go. You may find that it's in the way of like not knowing what to do, feeling, again, avoidant. So just something to be aware about. Like if you feel unclear about something and both possibilities may feel equally good or bad, like everything has pros and cons, you might want to take some time to do like a pros and cons thing. Use your head, so your intellect, your knowledge, use your heart, your feelings, your intuition. Use both. Like you're going to have to integrate all aspects of yourself in order to choose which path you want to move forward on. The more positive side of this reading, I did pull for you guys the Emperor card. This card is I get a lot of regal energy from this, to be honest. This has a lot to do with authority, father figure. This can be represented by Saturn for some of us. So there is this, along with this Two of Swords card, the Emperor is really asking for you to step into a position of authority. If you have some unhealed masculine energy, if you will, you may find that your impulse is to rely on other people to make decisions for you, or like trying to, if you find yourself in a position where you're asking everyone, what should I do? You're giving away your power. It's not a problem to ask people's opinions. It's not at all a problem to listen to their ideas. It's not a problem inherently to ask what you should do from someone. However, you don't want to give your power away to the point where you allow other people to make the decisions for you, because you're afraid to make them yourself. And for some of you, the chaos that you're going to be experiencing might just be either one or multiple options, opportunities, etc. in your life where you have these abilities to stand up and make your own decisions, but you're feeling maybe tempted to allow other people to make the decisions for you. And ultimately, that is not in your highest good. Your highest good is to make the decision for yourself from a place of intuition, and also from your own heart and your own beliefs, your own values, your own core values. Really paying attention to your core values. Last week, if you paid attention to my reading last week, a lot of the themes were about realigning with your core values. Since you've probably done that or hopefully done that by now, you're being asked to bring those forward and actually bank on those and take action from that place. And if you didn't watch that reading but you want to go back and reference it, please feel free to. Okay. Last card that I pulled from the tarot, and then I'm going to move into Oracle. I feel like some of the advice is actually already coming out right now, but I wanted to use Oracle just to give a little bit more brightness to it. The last thing that I do want for you guys to consider, I did pull the Three of Swords. Now, this card also has some insinuations of emotional pain, some grief, maybe hurt. This card specifically to me speaks to the pain that is inflicted by words, actions, and intents of other people, or of yourself. So these could be things that you're saying to yourself if you're talking, and it's up to you, by the way, to decide how all of this resonates. But if you are constantly engaging in negative self-talk, you're always insulting yourself, or if you find that that's something that, like a habit that you have with other people, you're always insulting them, or conversely, other people are doing this to you, that energy is damaging to, honestly, all parties at some point. If you're in a state where you're constantly insulting yourself, you're more likely to do that to other people. And if you're around people who are insulting themselves, they're more likely to do that to you as well. Not to speak to anyone's character involved in the situations. It's not, this isn't meant to like moralize anything, but just be aware, like those energies do have effects in the long term. So if this is something that you've been experiencing, or, you know, on the other side, like some words that people say may cause some of this chaos or some of that pain, if any of that is the case, you're being asked to have a little bit of compassion for all parties. Like if someone is speaking from that place, it's usually a sign that they feel deeply hurt, so having compassion for them. But if you find that you're speaking from that place, it's also a sign that you might be deeply hurt. And again, if you don't deal with those emotions, if you try to short circuit them, if you try to move past them without really feeling them and getting to the deeper layer of what's there, the deeper layer of hurt, and really feeling that and working with that, you might find that you are trying to, again, short circuit your healing, and ultimately that does not serve your highest good. So wrapping up from the tarot portion of your reading, please just make sure that any pain that you're feeling, any hurt that you're feeling, or any hurt that you're sensing in the people around you, there's carry a willingness to go one layer deeper, and that willingness to go one layer deeper is going to allow a lot of those things that are kind of potentially chaotic. Maybe these are things that are really old wounds, like I'm getting for some of you, like this is an old wound. This is not necessarily something that's related to this exact event. Even if it feels like this exact event is what caused it, this could just be a trigger. So don't short circuit your healing. Allow yourself to really feel those emotions. Don't get caught in them. You don't need to get like stuck in them. They're not going to take over you forever, but you do need to understand why they're there so you can work with them and heal them and fucking move forward and move on. Okay. Close on tarot. I'm going to move into oracle to give you guys a little bit more of an uplifting, I guess, finish for this reading, and then I will close out. Okay, my dear Capricorn, so I pulled from my Moonology oracle deck. I have some cards here that are very beautiful, very, again, a little bit more on the uplifting side. I find my oracles a little bit more encouraging than my tarot, so I usually like to finish with this. So first thing to keep in mind, my dears, some of you may be feeling held back by your past. I pulled the South Node card. So this implies that for some of you, these negative experiences that you might be having, these pieces, maybe these narratives, like I pulled the Three of Swords. So for some of you, these may be narratives that you have internalized and you are now speaking to yourself negatively, but that was rooted in someone else speaking to you negatively and you, again, making them the authority. Where is my Emperor card? If you made someone else the authority or someone else was the authority and they said something to you that you completely, like, if you took it in as truth, that might be causing you to be stuck in this old loop. And this is a piece of yourself. This is a version of yourself that no longer has to be carried through, because we are being encouraged this week to step into that sense of personal authority. You don't have to allow those people of your past to control what your current narratives are. In order to do this, you are going to have to take some action, my dears. I did pull New Moon in Aries, so there is definitely a level of action. Maybe you'll want to hire a therapist, work with a coach. Feel free to reach out to me if my energy resonates with you, or someone else. If there's been someone that's come up in your dreams, I'm getting dreams for someone really big, or in your mind that you're like, oh, this is someone that I feel like could be beneficial in this process for me, reach out to them. Have a conversation with them. Take some action on this. Be proactive about this process. Be proactive about asking for support, especially if you feel like, if it resonates with you, like, oh yeah, I do feel some energies coming up that like I'm going to want to work through and sit with and integrate and whatnot. Start taking action now. A few other things, I did pull 4 cards in reverse. Anything in reverse is asking you to look more deeply within yourself. So a lot of these are going to be actually pertaining to the relationship you have to yourself. So this week, whatever's going on external to you is an invitation for you to have more love for yourself and to turn inwards. Doesn't mean you're like closing out the world around you, but you are going to want to be aware of how you're relating to yourself throughout all of this. Again, a lot of this, the challenges that you might be feeling, per what I said, might be coming from a place of you like thinking that you need to be hard on yourself or thinking that you need to whatever. And none of those things necessarily have to be true. So whatever goals that you have, I have the fixed in reverse, fixed moon in reverse, hold your vision, whatever your visions are, you are going to want to have some level of, again, with the Emperor, some level of authority, some level of like strength with your word and integrity with your word and whatever your vision is. And you're going to want to hold true to that. Like, don't let other people's opinions make you sway your boundaries to the point where you hate yourself. Do not do that. Something else, you're going to be offered a lot of opportunities to work through your fears. We got a Scorpio, some Scorpio, new moon and Scorpio in reverse. So whatever fears are coming up, again, just allowing yourself the opportunity to do that. And a lot of those fears may be in relationship to yourself or how you perceive yourself. Something to be aware of. Also, we have the full moon in Aquarius in reverse. Show the world the new blah, blah, blah. Show the world the real you. So some of you may feel like you are hiding or like you want to hide. Or you may be discovering aspects of yourself that you weren't really aware of or weren't conscious of or weren't, like they hadn't been integrated yet. Again, the world reverse card is telling me like something has not yet been integrated. And so in this week, as you are integrating those pieces, if that is happening, don't be afraid to show those to the world, but also because it's in reverse, like don't be afraid to show those pieces of yourself to yourself. If you feel like you're hiding aspects of yourself from you to make others feel better or to please them, whatever those are, like show yourself who you are. I don't know. I feel like that makes sense in my head way more than maybe out loud. If you're like, what the F is she saying? Feel free to reach out and I can try to explain that a little bit more clearly. And then finally, last thing I want you guys to keep in mind, I pulled New Moon in Virgo in reverse, a time to give rather than to take. This card is asking for you to give to yourself right now. Anytime, I feel like this is the big closer. This is the big message here anyways, is like any challenges that are coming up right now, don't take away your love for yourself, your compassion for yourself, your time for yourself. I think some of you are going to feel tempted to try to like pull, like if you're feeling challenged and scared, you're going to try to like pull in resources or getting this like big pulling motion, and you're being asked to give. And that giving energy, that outflow of energy is actually asking you to direct it into yourself. Of course, that's going to apply to other people as well, especially if there are situations, for example, where there has been hurt maybe. You're being asked to give in those situations. You're being asked to give love to those situations, give love to other parties involved, other people involved. You're not being asked to take from them. This is not like a, you did me wrong, I do you wrong, so, because you took something from me, now I get to take it back from you or whatever. Like, you're being asked to come from a position of giving. And if that giving doesn't feel good, if it doesn't feel good to give to those parties that exist outside of you, cut those off and give to yourself instead. You'll know what feels best to you. But ultimately, this is definitely, I'm getting like a very good time for you to give yourself the things that you need in order to complete that circuit so we can get this world card upright and not so much in the reverse energy. Just saw 555 on my camera. Nice. All right, beautiful. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm feeling called to close out here. Oh no, one final thing. Okay, one final thing. Don't let your past hold you back. A time to give. So, also, the things that you're giving power to should be, again, yourself. I feel like these want to just like come together. You are being asked to give power to yourself. You are being asked to give energy to yourself and to not give that energy and that power to the past or to things that like don't really concern you or to things that are living outside of you. Per what I said in the tarot when I opened again, like, don't give away your power of decision making. Other people don't need to be making these decisions for you. These are decisions that you're going to need to make from a heart-centered place from yourself. This may feel really challenging. Again, this might be the change. Like for some of you, that might be it. That might be it. Just deciding for yourself and not relying on other people to make the decisions for you. But if that is the case, my dear, what a fucking beautiful challenge that is, because that is giving you such a beautiful opportunity for expansion to like really learn what it is to decide for yourself and to live I don't want to say live for yourself, but to live from yourself. Like, I don't have any other way to say it. Live from yourself and from who you truly are. So thank you, my dear, so much. I'm going to close out now. I love and appreciate you so much for tuning in. Please make sure that if you haven't already, you subscribe to my channel. I post videos for Capricorn every single week. I will be doing a reading for every single sign for the month, for the year of 2024. So stay tuned for that. Feel free to share that with people when that one comes out. And finally, you can find me here, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere at alexab.alchemy. So if you have questions or want me to dive into anything a little bit deeper, please feel free to shoot me a message. I love hearing from you guys and hearing when things resonate. So thank you so much, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.